Why were you set apart in your own family? Why are you the one who feels everything more deeply, questions what others choose to ignore, and carries convictions no one else seems to understand? You were raised under the same roof, heard the same words spoken at the table, lived in the same atmosphere. So why are you the one who can't simply blend in and move on? What if it isn't your temperament? What if it isn't chance? What if God placed you there on purpose to interrupt cycles, to stand between brokenness and healing, and to become the spiritual foundation your family didn't even realize it was missing? Being chosen by God within a family is not about being better than others, and it is not about being pushed aside. More often than not, it is about responsibility. Throughout Scripture, God repeatedly begins transformation through one person in a family line, using that single life to spark change that eventually touches many. Being chosen almost never feels glorious at first. It usually feels heavy long before it feels holy. Scripture reminds us that when God grants deeper spiritual awareness, He also assigns greater responsibility. And if you have ever felt spiritually different within your family, that difference may not be accidental. There may be a reason. Here are 7 biblical signs God chose you in your family. 1. God often chooses the one who perceives differently. In many families, there is one person who notices what others dismiss. While conversations move quickly past uncomfortable realities, you feel them stay with you. While certain behaviors are treated as normal, something inside you quietly resists them. This difference is rarely rebellion. More often, it is spiritual discernment. Throughout Scripture, God consistently works through people who view life through a spiritual lens rather than a cultural one. Seeing differently does not mean seeing flawlessly. It means your heart remains sensitive to God in ways that may feel inconvenient. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, "People look at outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." While others are focused on surface standards, God works from a deeper place, the heart. Those aligned with Him begin valuing what He values, even when it is unpopular. When others accept patterns that have existed for years, you feel conviction. When silence feels easier, you feel prompted to speak truth with gentleness. Spiritual vision is both a gift and a responsibility. When God allows someone to see deeper, He often intends to use that person as an anchor of truth in their environment. That awareness can feel isolating, but it is also evidence that God is refining your spiritual sensitivity. You were willing to carry what others avoided. Every family carries hidden, unspoken pain, unresolved conflict, emotional wounds, spiritual emptiness, and often God chooses the one who refuses to look away. While others emotionally or spiritually distance themselves, you feel drawn toward healing. You feel compelled to pray. You feel responsible to stand in the gap, even when it costs you peace. Carry one another's burdens, Galatians 6:2 says, and in this way you fulfill the law of Christ. This willingness is not random. God often entrusts emotional and spiritual weight to those whose hearts remain tender toward Him. It does not mean you are naturally stronger. It means you are surrendered. You may feel your family's brokenness intensely. You sense when forgiveness is needed. You recognize when pride or pain has created distance. Others may call this sensitivity, but spiritually, it is often intercession, carrying people before God even when they never ask. God never assigns spiritual weight without also supplying the grace to bear it. 3. God trusted you with the family's breaking point. Every family reaches moments when buried tensions surface, conflicts erupt, long-standing patterns fall apart. Truth can no longer be avoided. God often positions the one he is shaping directly at that breaking point. This role is rarely easy. It may place you in the center of misunderstandings, painful choices, or emotional pressure. But breaking points expose character, and God refines those he trusts through pressure. James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4 says, "Consider it joy when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete. You may carry emotional consequences from decisions you did not personally make, that can feel unjust and overwhelming. Yet spiritually, God often raises one person to hold on to faith when everything around them feels unstable. Through that individual, God begins rebuilding families on truth instead of denial, grace instead of resentment, and obedience instead of avoidance. For you were positioned to disrupt generational patterns. Families often carry unseen spiritual and emotional habits passed down over generations. Fear, anger, absence, pride, compromise. These cycles repeat simply because they are familiar. But God has a long history of calling one person within a family to choose a different path. Breaking generational cycles does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like forgiveness, where bitterness was normal. Sometimes it looks like honesty, where secrecy was protected. Sometimes it simply looks like faith, where fear had shaped decisions for years. Ezekiel 18:20 says, "The child will not share the guilt of the parent, nor the parent share the guilt of the child." You may feel the weight of recognizing patterns that existed long before you were born. You may wonder why the responsibility to change seems to rest on you. But when God assigns a calling, he also supplies the grace to carry it. Transformation happens through daily surrender to God's truth, not through human strength. 5. God shaped you through hidden seasons. Before God uses someone publicly, he almost always forms them privately. If you were chosen within your family, you may have endured seasons of being overlooked, misunderstood, or spiritually alone. Those seasons can feel like rejection or delay, but in God's hands, they become preparation. Hidden seasons produce authentic faith. When affirmation is absent and answers are delayed, you learn to trust God for who he is rather than for what he provides. These seasons build emotional endurance, spiritual clarity, and humility. Isaiah 49:2 says, "He made my words like a sharpened sword. He hid me in the shadow of his hand. He made me like a polished arrow and concealed me in his quiver." You may have felt as though your voice carried no weight in your family, but God often develops his strongest servants in quiet places. The spiritual roots formed in secrecy are what sustain the life he intends to reveal later. 6. You chose conviction over comparison. Family dynamics often breed comparison. Who is more successful? Who is more respected? Who is more accepted? But spiritual growth begins when someone stops measuring life horizontally and starts responding vertically to God. Conviction is uncomfortable because it reveals areas that require change. But conviction keeps the heart teachable. Comparison hardens the heart by fueling pride or insecurity. Galatians 1:10 says, "I am not seeking the approval of people, but of God. If I were still trying to please people, I would not be Christ's servant." When you respond to conviction even when no one is watching, you allow God to shape your character deeply. Others may not understand why certain choices matter so much to you, but spiritual obedience is personal. God often speaks to individuals in ways others cannot fully grasp. 7. God needed a faithful witness, not a flawless one. God never chooses someone within a family because they are perfect. He chooses those who remain faithful. Many feel unqualified because they are painfully aware of their weaknesses and past failures. But Scripture consistently shows God using imperfect people who keep returning to Him. 1 Corinthians 4:2 says, "Those who have been given a trust must prove faithful." God does not demand perfection. He desires faithfulness. Being a faithful witness in your family does not always mean correcting or preaching. Often it means consistency, choosing integrity when compromise feels easier, choosing humility when pride feels justified, choosing prayer when silence feels safer. Your family observes how you respond to pressure, disappointment, forgiveness, and faith over time. Sometimes the most compelling testimony is not perfection, but perseverance. When people see that you struggle, yet remain anchored in God, your faith becomes credible. If God chose you, He will sustain you. Being chosen within your family does not mean life will become easier. Scripture never promises that. But it does promise that God will remain near, faithful, and sufficient for every assignment He gives. You may not see immediate results. Your obedience may feel unseen. Your prayers may seem unanswered. But God operates on timelines beyond human measurement. What He begins through one surrendered heart can influence generations in ways you may never personally witness. Being chosen is not about carrying your entire family on your shoulders. It is about remaining faithful where God placed you. You are not responsible for changing hearts. You are responsible for guarding your own and walking in truth. The weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It is meant to draw you closer to God, because the deeper the calling, the closer His presence tends to be. If God chose you, He will sustain you. He will give you wisdom when you feel uncertain, patience when progress feels slow, and strength when responsibility feels overwhelming. Stay rooted in Him. Stay humble. Stay obedient, because quiet faithfulness is never wasted in the hands of God.